Episode 12.
All right.
Here we go.
We are down 2 people today.
A little short today. I think they realized what this entailed, having a podcast. Just week in, week out.
Yeah, they're
Just
like,
being workmen.
wait, we actually have like things going on with our lives.
Yeah, really important stuff. Probably.
Well, that's what they told us.
Yeah. Or they fell asleep watching it.
I think they're just tired. We were up till like 3 a.m. last night, so I don't think.
Were you really?
Yeah, I didn't get back till like 3. Well, with the time jump, it was really 4. But yeah, it would have been like 3.
Oh yeah. Well, you guys had a bit of an adventure last night, right?
Oh.
You, Bram, and Zach.
Yeah, we sure did.
What were you guys doing?
We were playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Classic.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
It was fun.
They call me the brain of this group, but you guys are the nerds. Hey,
Anything wild happen in it?
Well, we got to create like new characters. So Ben created this whole big castle for us, and it had LED lights and a drawbridge that was like battery operated, and it was actually really fun. So I created a new character. Just played around with it for a little bit. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So it's basically we just had to go kill some Lich King, and that was it. It was a lot of fun.
cool. So I have 2 questions for you.
Yes.
Did the character you create, did that character like Mustard? Was it like kind of based off of you?
No, it was no place near me at all. No.
Okay. Was the occupation that you chose for it submarine captain?
No, he didn't.
It's not allowed. Is that allowed? Can you have a submarine captain in D&D?
I doubt it, but I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure you could talk to a DM. They might be able to figure something out for you.
Perfect.
Yeah. If I can have a character that's a submarine captain and likes mustard, I would join. But
That'd be perfect, actually.
That would be pretty fun. Yeah. No, my guy was a little halfling that would help train and control bears, and then he would turn into a bear if provoked. So he's a druid. It's pretty fun.
Oh.
that's pretty good. And that's, is that a type of submarine? A halfling submarine? Do we have any of those? We have a little person submarine, maybe a halfling submarine too.
That's what we could refer to him as.
Yeah, we could. Little halfling submarine.
People might be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Ooh, what vape flavor are you hitting right now?
Oh,
Yeah.
could you hear that? Man, I was trying to be quiet.
Yeah, we could hear that.
It was it's a watermelon kiwi flavor. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Ooh. Well, did you have anything exciting happen, Jamie?
Over this weekend?
Yeah.
No, not super exciting. Doing my normal stuff, running. We were at brunch. I'm really full right now, so if I fall asleep halfway through, you'll know why.
All right.
But otherwise, it's been, just trying to relax to the max. It's pretty busy during the week, so I take full advantage of my weekends.
Not a bad idea.
Nope. Except for this. This is back to work.
Right.
Podcast time.
This is hardcore stuff.
Punching in, and then later I'll punch out.
Yep.
Yep.
I do not issue paychecks, so
Yet.
don't look for them.
Yet.
What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the 8th wonder of the modern world. Mac East, Second Floor Studios, takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains, Alex the Thoughtful, Jamie the Brain, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion.
All right.
Shall we jump into it? Which one? What do we watch this week?
Yeah, Alex, go ahead and tell us.
Well, this week we watched 1968. I would call it like a thriller or suspense film called Ice Station Zebra.
Oh, yes, we did.
Yes, sir.
It's a pretty famous movie, actually.
It is a famous
Yeah.
movie. I had heard about it. It's referenced here and there, like Breaking Bad referenced it at one point. People like John Carpenter have talked about it being a guilty pleasure. It was famous for what was his name? There's a Howard Hughes, the reclusive billionaire. This was his favorite film that he watched over and over and over again, compulsively. So
Really?
yeah, it's kind of has this cultural significance that's probably outweighs its cinematic significance. But even that, it does have some cinematic significance as well.
I think so.
Yeah.
So we'll just give a little brief rundown here of who we got in this movie. Stars Rock Hudson.
Classic. Do you know anything about Rock Hudson?
No, I do not.
So Rock Hudson was a famous Golden Age actor, but he's nowadays probably famous for having He died of AIDS during the time when AIDS was just coming into the forefront. He was a very, very well-known actor who turned out to be secretly gay and couldn't really have that be revealed throughout his career. He spent a lot of time and probably money and effort making sure that wasn't revealed, to the point of like marrying people,
Really?
beards and stuff like that. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of a sad story when all things are taken into consideration, and kind of what he did through his career to hide that.
I had no idea about any of that.
Yeah.
Ernest Borgnine, who we've seen in other submarine movies.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Brown, who
Arguably,
people may know from watching the NFL.
Yeah, arguably the most famous, or the best NFL player in history, and the last person to lead a Browns team to a NFL championship.
That's a miracle in and of itself.
Exactly, yeah.
And
Get an Oscar for that performance.
Peter McGoohan, I think is how you say his name.
I don't know him at all.
Well, yeah, he played a bigger part in this movie than I ever thought. And this is also directed by John Sturges. That name might not sound super familiar to people our generation, but you will know the movies he's made. The Great Escape with Steve McQueen. The Magnificent Seven. Not the newest one that just came out, obviously, but
Probably
the older
not.
one. And then Gunfight at the OK Corral, starring two of our own submarine
Two of
people,
our favorites, really.
Burt
Love
Lancaster
them.
and Kirk Douglas.
Love them even more.
I don't
Kirk
know if
Douglas may be my favorite character we've had in any of the films. You're just so funny as a harpoon man in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
It's a great job.
Yeah.
Alex, what job would you want on a sub? Harpoon man or something else?
Well, I don't think there are a lot of harpoons underwater in subs, but
I did think about that after it left my mouth.
Yeah.
I would like to be the sonar guy. I think that would be pretty fun.
Sonar sounds pretty good. I'd like to be XO. I don't want to be the captain, full-blown captain, but I want that opportunity for a potential mutiny.
Right. Yeah.
On my side.
I would enjoy being the captain because eventually I'd get overthrown and then I'd have like some kind of comeback to greatness.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I'd be like the XO. You deceive you and become the captain, and you come back.
And I crawl through the belly of the boat,
Oh, yeah.
find some way to get back, and then I'm captain.
And I'm rightfully killed in the process.
All right,
Nice.
whatever. We should
All
probably
right.
get into
We
this.
should probably get into the recap of Ice Station Zebra. So we open in Scotland, where there's a naval base, American
But
naval base.
first when this thing opens, it's like just, it says the word overture on the screen. It's just playing music.
Yeah,
I was
so
like,
it's
oh my
set
gosh.
up almost like a play. So it's like an overture
Yes.
with a bunch of music, and then we see a satellite, and it almost started like I was like, just like with the Abyss, where I was like, wait, am I watching a random sci-fi film? I thought for a second like
Right.
an alien spaceship was coming into frame, but it was just a satellite, and a portion of the satellite shoots off and shoots towards Earth, and it lands in the Arctic, up in the ice caps area, and you see a person, approaching this piece of the satellite, opens it up, and oh no, someone's watching him.
Mm-hmm.
Smash cut to Scotland. So we know something pretty dangerous is happening up in the polar ice caps.
As always.
Yes. And so, yeah, definitely nowadays. Climate change. Relevant. And so we go to Scotland, and we have our Captain Faraday, our hero, Rock Hudson. And he's sitting in a pub, and he gets a call to go over to a different pub, and heads over there and has a meeting with an admiral, kind of the head of, all the submarines and all that.
And he's like, hey, what do you know about Ice Station Zebra?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that British civilian
it's
weather
like a
station
weather
up
station,
there?
whatever. Who cares about it? And he's like, well, you're going to be heading up there because it's, there's been a distress signal that's kind of going over and over again. Something's happened, and we need to rescue them. And oh, by the way, you're going to have a passenger on your sub.
But
And
we can't fly you out there.
Yeah.
You got to go by submarine because there's a dangerous blizzard, or they call it an ice storm.
Yeah.
But
And so he's like, wait, a passenger? What? We don't have passengers on like nuclear subs. This is weird. And he's like, who is this person? He's like, I can't tell you much, but I can give you this paper with his credentials. And oh boy, are you going to be impressed. And Rock Hudson opens and goes, I'm pretty impressed,
yep.
but I still need to know like more about what's going on.
He's like, well, too bad. So
sorry. Yeah.
He gives
That's
them
too
some
bad.
kind of information, but they don't show it on screen.
Yeah. He's like, I know you're the captain and you have the right to pull your dick out at any point, but I'm the admiral and I have the right to put your dick right back in this thing. And he does.
Sees him going for a zipper and just slaps his hand.
No way. Get away from that. You are taking this passenger, whatever. And so we get a little scene of their passenger arriving by plane, getting directly into a car and heading to the submarine. And they're kind of just like chilling on top of the submarine as they see their passengers kind of head towards them. So there's this one guy, a British guy, who gets on, and then a whole bunch of Marines as well.
Yep.
Aboard the submarine as well.
This part, I mean, literally not a whole lot's happened so far,
No.
and it took 15 minutes.
Takes a really long time. This whole front of the film actually takes a really, really, really long time, all the way up until what you'll see happens, an incident that happens with the torpedoes.
Right.
Because even after they launch, what do we really get out of scenes? Like, he talks with the MI6 agent. That's who he ends up being, this British agent, and he kind of like, I don't know. He seems real arrogant, and he's always like,
yeah,
I get control of the ship. What were your orders? Get me up to Ice Station Zebra. All things,
his name is Jones.
Yeah, Jones, and he's like, you have to get me up to Ice Station Zebra. As long as I don't risk your crew, I have control of the situation. So it's like, I know you're the captain, but I'm essentially the captain of the ship.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, your orders are to follow my command. And at some point later, he's like, look, I haven't had to take command because you've been doing everything fine.
Yeah.
But he's like, take me to where I need to go.
Yeah. And so you get a bunch of diving scenes and stuff like that. And there's some really
They're
cool.
pretty good.
There's some really, really cool cinematography done in this film. Academy Award winning cinematography. Or never mind. It lost.
Nominated.
It nominated. Yeah, nominated. But it was the first filming of a sub in the process of diving, all the way through diving. So we actually got scenes
Very
of them
cool.
diving where this camera's above water, and then they dive with the submarine, and it goes all the way down into the water, and you could see like the bubbles clear, and now you see the submarine underwater, and that was like the first time they were able to do something like that.
Yep.
They were like developing technology for that kind of stuff.
One of the things I liked here, though, when the captain was meeting with Jones, he's like, everybody here's on a first-name basis. My name is Captain.
Yeah.
Like, I like that.
And they put Jones into one of the bunks with what seems like the XO, and we get a little scene before some more characters arrive where the XO goes in to go to bed and sees Jones. And he's sleeping on the main bunk, his like bed, and he goes up to tell him to like get the fuck in this other bed.
Yeah,
this is my bed.
He
and
wakes him up,
yeah.
and he just like jumps into action. Jones does,
pulls a gun.
Yeah. And the captain's like, maybe we should take that gun away from you.
And he's like, nope.
No way.
I'm the
This
captain.
is my gun.
Yeah. He's also seemingly like, he's either seasick or claustrophobic or something, or an alcoholic, because he also is like really jonesing, if you will, for some whiskey, and is constantly trying to get his hands on some of the therapeutic whiskey that they have on board that the doctor carries.
That's right. Because I think even at one point, doesn't he ask, is it true they don't serve whiskey on American subs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I think we can get some.
Yeah. They have it. The doctor actually carries a bunch of whiskey, consider it therapeutic.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like to go to the doctor's office. Sir, you need some whiskey.
Prescription alcohol.
Cool.
And so then as they're kind of going along, they had a couple more passengers arrive.
Which I don't even know how this like came to be, because they just surfaced. All of a sudden a helicopter was there, and then they're just lowering Jim Brown and Ernest Borgnine onto the sub via rope.
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, what led to this?
Yeah, it's a real down periscope type situation. I don't know if you remember that, but William H. Macy was the commander of a submarine, and someone just appears on there and was brought there by a helicopter. So we know it's real because of Down Periscope being the most accurate sub movie ever. So we get Jim Brown. He's the head of he kind of runs the Marines, but I think it seemed like the only reason they had him come by helicopter rather with the Marines is so that they could have him be a suspect. Like, oh, that's weird. He came here, straight from elsewhere with these commands in order, but like you can imagine someone having been killed and then someone taking their place, like a spy, and being on the submarine. How do we actually know he is who he says he is?
Right.
And then same thing with Ernest Borgnine. He gets to be a suspect of sorts because he shows up kind of randomly in the middle of the sea.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
which, I mean, how could you not suspect these? If anything goes wrong, you'd be like, well, that was really weird.
Yeah,
maybe
why
it's one
did
of those guys.
How did they show up like so conveniently onto this thing?
But Jim Brown, he's also, I think, a character that we needed in this film to this point, because he comes in, he's a total hard ass.
Yeah.
Real dick, really.
Yeah, so, like, one of the lieutenants from the Marines comes to meet him, and he goes to, like, shake his hand, and he, like, raises his voice, like, Lieutenant!
Yeah.
He's like, tell the men there's going to be a check down in, like, an hour, and it's going to be a bitch.
Yeah.
I think this movie's rated G or something. I'm like, God, the 60s, so great. You can get away with that.
Yeah, and Ernest Borgnine shows up, and he's a defected Soviet who's been part of helping the U.S. government for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jones is like, I've known this guy. I actually got him out of, either Soviet Union or he was in Germany or something like that. And so he got him out of there, and he knows him pretty well. So he's like, this guy's trustworthy. But he's kind of going around being real suspicious. Like, he wants to know what's going on with stuff. Oh, I've never seen this. Can I see it? Oh, there's a reactor. Can I see that? Oh, there's a torpedo room. Can I see that? I've never seen this happen. I've never seen that happen. So pretty much everyone suspects him as being like not trustworthy, even though Jones.
But he's not like super creepy. I mean,
no.
He's pretty outgoing.
He's like seems like a very jovial guy. But
he's even out like walking alone by himself around the sub, and they're like, "What are you doing?
What is happening here?" Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I like to go to walks," and the captain's like, "Well, we also like to go to walks, so maybe you should ask one of us next time."
And so,
but I thought he did an okay job doing the accent.
Yeah, he's not
American
bad.
born
For sure. But and so they basically make their way up to the ice caps. They go under the ice, and they have this ice machine that tells them how thin or thick places are. And they try to get to an area where they can bust through so they can find the location of the ice station Zebra. They kind of know it, kind of where they want to go, but not exactly.
And this took a long time to get to.
So long. And
this is like an hour, 15 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It really dragged at this point, trying to figure out what they wanted to do with it. And I think they were showing off things about the sub. Here's that, here's this. But they could have done this part of it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Anyways, they get to a spot where they think they might be able to bust through, and they try a couple times trying to bust through just by going north. And if we saw K-19, you'd be like, why don't they just go 1,000,000 miles per hour upwards and they'll just bust right through that ice?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Right.
And you saw this as more realistic, where they really very softly and slightly try to push their way up.
Right, because you don't want
to mess up
the sail. Yeah.
So that really showed off a little bit. K-19 taking some liberties probably.
So first attempt, no go. They bounce off. But the thing I also thought was funny is they didn't. I don't know what protocol is, I guess, on a real sub, but they go and they start ascending. They don't even announce to the crew like, "Hey, brace for impact. We're about to try to break through this ice." And so everybody's just going about their business and wham, smack into something.
Like the army people are like doing, like putting together guns and shit, like they regular drills, not even realizing they're trying to bust this ice. And so they fail a couple times, and they're like, you know what we're gonna do? Since my mission is to get you to Ice Station Zebra, we're gonna blow a torpedo at the ice, and it's gonna open it up for us. And they're like, oh, we've never seen that done. He's like, well, they better be able to do it because
because they can remote detonate it when they want to.
And so they go over and they, go down to do this thing. And Ernest Borgnine's even like, oh, hey, I've never seen a torpedo launched and loaded and all that. Like, can I go along? Like, sure. And so 8 people, head on down to the torpedo room.
And there's this weird little dialogue with the guy who's like,
oh, about getting married and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This was totally pointless.
Well, they
only did it so you felt bad for him.
No,
in
I think
a couple minutes.
Actually, according to the trivia, they only did it to be able to have him in the scene. Because originally the scene was written where it was just the guy that checking it and not being killed or anything. It just opens up, and he opens it himself. But then the guy who was talking about getting married was a Olympic swimmer, and they wanted someone with serious swimming skills to be in the scene so that if something went wrong, they'd be able to help.
Oh no!
Oh wow!
Yeah. So he was the multi gold medal winning swimmer and held a couple world records when this was filmed.
Dang! All right.
Yeah. Good
so
trivia.
anyways, he's like, oh, there's a little dribble. There must be a leak or something. Let me open it up real quick and I'll check why it's leaking. And he's like, oh man, it's real tough. All of a sudden, it blows open, kills him instantly, as it would. And then the place is being absolutely flooded with water like crazy. Yeah. And here we get into it's just like a crazy scene. It's hard to exactly see what they did to save the sub. But anyways, the sub is plummeting. They blow all their ballasts, they close all the hatches and doors and stuff like that. They go through they raise the pressure and stuff, so they have a better possibility of closing the door to the torpedo tube and stuff like that. So everyone's going nuts with this pressure. They're like, they can't handle the pressure change.
Jim Brown's also a total boss in this scene.
Oh my God, yeah.
We've seen other movies where as soon as they start taking out water, everybody runs to the opposite side of the door and shuts it in.
Yeah,
Jim
Black
Brown's
Sea.
He's like,
shuts
hell
everyone
no.
in.
Yeah, he's like, we're working on this now.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care, man. Let's do that.
That was awesome. I know. Right when that happened, I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. Like, we had never seen that before. People normally start running, or there would have been a fire by now. But no, he's
probably
he's
the submarine burst into
everybody
flames. That's true. And so they end up getting everything closed, but they're plummeting, and they set like a world record. They go way beyond crush depth. They're down like 2,000 feet or something like that. Is that right?
Last I clocked, it was like 1,200, but
1,200. That's what it was.
Way deeper than these subs are supposed to go.
Yeah, way deeper. They're way below crush depth. They don't actually say crush depth, but they definitely went below crush depth. They were. I really thought they were going to.
And at this point, the captain's also insisting, because it's nuclear powered, keep that reactor running full speed. We need to like try to get this thing going. So this is where they kind of mention crush depth, because he's like, man, we're gonna have a nuclear meltdown in a couple minutes. The guy's like, well, the hull's just gonna crush in before that.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's all fail safe. So it's gonna fail safe when we fail and die. And so then all of a sudden it starts to slow. I'm not sure exactly the mechanism. It would be interesting to try to figure out exactly what the chain of events that occurred to allow it to kind of change and start rising again. But they, save the submarine and they head back up, and he announces like everything's fine. Don't worry about it, but they're not going to do that torpedo thing anymore. And Jones, grabs alcohol. He's like real upset, and he's drinking and really shook. And the captain comes up and goes like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "You've got a saboteur on your boot." He's like, "Check the tube. Someone put like some chewing gum or something to make it seem like there's a dribble when the whole thing was filled with water." And they stuck it
threw
tube
up the
opening.
sensor is what it did.
Yeah, well, no. So like the epoxy and stuff, I think, was actually to make it so that the hole that would have been like streaming water out of it to say that it was filled with water. But then they had hooked up the sensors so that none of the things registered that it was closed or was open when it.
Yeah, it said it was closed. Like you're good to load, and it's wide open.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can't have both ends of a torpedo tube open on a sub.
No, we've heard of things like that before. Actually, it is based that whole thing is based on a real event but that submarine sunk.
Wow,
obviously, and so it wasn't able to save itself. And so they're like, okay, we're not going to do that again, but let's head to other places and see what we can find. And they end up finding a thin patch of ice. They're like, okay, we're going to go up. And so they go up. And they are able to pinpoint ice station zebra. They're able to bust through the top, and they, find ice station zebra. Like it's only 4 miles or something away.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, we need a specific ground crew, and they'd already, like, somebody accused Jim Brown of being the guy. And he's like, well, if he's the guy, we don't want him on the sub, so take him with us.
Yeah,
and
all
then
the Marines are gonna go. Yeah.
Then there's literally an intermission.
Yeah. Yeah. In this movie, I was like, oh, sweet. So it's actually not 2.5 hours long because we have a 2 or 3 minute intermission. It kind of just plays music. And then it does another little musical interlude before starting back up again.
Yep.
And they're heading on out there, and they have a huge crew going out there, all of the Marines.
Yes.
And then Ernest Borgnine and Captain and Jones and a couple other people, I think.
Yep. And on the way there, they're walking through like a wicked blizzard, which, I mean, to me, I looked at it, and you and I live in the Great
Tuesday,
North.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was, normal week for us.
It's walking to work.
Yeah. They had a guy fall in like a huge crevasse. And, like the ice is like closing in on him. So they're like, all right, let's get this dude out of here.
Yeah. And
keep moving.
And as part of that also, the ice starts closing around the submarine. So they have to dive. They're basically like, we got to get out of here before the sail of the sub gets crushed by the ice. So they dive back down. So technically, like if they didn't find Ice Station Zebra, they're like lost. I mean, they can't go back to the submarine.
They're screwed.
Yeah. And so they head over and they end up finding Ice Station Zebra, and they're going in, and everything looks all totally fucked up. Like all the buildings are burned down. There's a lab that seems weirdly like semi-preserved, but also partially burned.
Right.
Almost like someone didn't want you going in there.
Odd.
And then, but there's one building with a light on, and they head in there, and there's a bunch of people in there. And
I thought they were all dead.
It seemed like that they were implying. He went up to people and like looking straight in their faces, and was like, and then went back out to tell people to get in there. I was like, oh, they're all dead. And then it's like they went back in and like slapped someone in the face, and the guy woke up.
They gave him liquor, and then he's like, oh hey,
oh yeah, oh. Sorry.
Yeah. Because he was like walking, wasn't being quiet.
Sorry, I was watching Ice Station Zebra and I fell asleep because the first hour, but no, I'm fine. And so they talk to a bunch of people, but they're clearly in shock. So they're really no help. They're just basically say like, there was a fire, the doctor saved us.
Yep.
Okay, where's the doctor? And they go into a different building, and there's everyone they're kind of expecting to see.
Yeah.
A doctor's there, another guy they've talked about, and 2 other people as well, including Jones's brother, who was like the head of the thing.
Yep. And then this is the big things, because the bodies were burned up, make it look like they died in the fire, but he's like, these bodies were shot before they were burned.
And not only that, but
that's a problem.
Did you catch, how did the guy who shot them all, how did he die? Did he just die from exposure or something like that?
No idea.
That seemed real weird because there was basically, the explanation they find is, okay, he finally admits to the captain. What actually happened here is that there was a guy sent up, a Soviet spy, sent up when it was found that this orbiting spy camera, which was originally developed in the U.S. or developed in Britain, used by the U.S., lost by the U.S. The Soviets picked it up.
That part got a little confusing.
Yeah, the Soviets picked it up and started putting it in a satellite. So basically, it's British technology that the
With
U.S.
some Americans.
lost.
Yeah.
And so the Soviets have it in the satellite. Now the satellite should have, it's capturing everything. It's capturing Soviet bases, but really it's mostly it's capturing U.S. bases.
Yeah, they want to know the location of like missile silos and stuff in the U.S.
But so it's circling around. It goes all the way across the U.S. and it goes all the way across Russia. And something happened where it was thrown off kilter.
Yeah, and it was going north-south.
So it's going north-south now, going over the North Pole and Antarctica. And they have two options. They can jettison the pack that it has either in Antarctica or over North Pole, since it doesn't go over any land otherwise. And Antarctica, they say, is busy. It may as well throw it into a busy city because there's so many countries down there.
Wait, in Antarctica?
Have bases and stuff like that. Yeah, they talk
okay.
about Chile
there's a lot of countries
and
down there.
Yeah, so it's like there's just too many people, so someone's going to pick it up. Who knows who's going to pick it up?
Okay.
But up in the North Pole, there's really only one that they needed to compete with. It was this British Ice Station Zebra.
Yep.
And so they're like, okay, we're going to put a spy up there. And so they put a spy up there, and he gets on a plane. He gets all the credentials. Basically, it's like his credentials are actually too perfect. That's how they knew he was a spy. It was too impeccable. And so the spy goes up there, and then the British, in response, throw 3 people of their own onto a plane. And so
it was like happening all at the same time.
Yeah, it's like, well, why wouldn't they throw more? It's like, well, why? It doesn't matter. At this point, they know, we know, and we know they know.
Right.
So who cares? There's just these 2 competing groups of people. And in the end, that's what happened. I think the Soviet guy found the thing. The British people tried to stop him. He shot all of them and had this stuff, but was trying to wait out the storm to send it up for a plane to pick up, and somehow died of exposure. That's like, seems to be I don't know who would have killed him or what.
No idea.
But he seemed to just be frozen to death out there. Why didn't he just stay in the fucking bunker with everyone? It just seemed very confusing how he died.
Right. He should not have.
Didn't really die. One thing they mentioned was maybe he died because he kind of messed up the fire situation. Like he tried to set a fire to cover his tracks, but then burnt himself too badly, and
that would make more
dying,
sense.
Yeah.
But so during this time, also, like the submarine, like miraculously appears. They had no problem busting through.
They're
the
able
ice.
to find a place to bust.
And they're
very
like,
near ice stations.
Hey, guess what? There are unidentified aircraft coming in. And they have a really long cutscene of these aircraft flying
for a
in.
long, long time.
Like, and they're not doing anything cool. They're just like flying.
And it's not like the cinematography of like the submarine, where it's like it doesn't seem like it's cutting edge technology. It just seems like regular, not very good looking planes flying along, fake green screen or whatever.
And so, but also like when the planes close in, because they're unidentified, I would assume that maybe you want to take cover, like in the base, and maybe not stand out in the open, but everyone's just like out there looking up.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah. So apparently it's like 2 planes to fly over, and then they were going to get they knew that paratroopers were coming.
But so also during this, Jones goes into a different building, and he like starts to dig through the fuel tank of this, maybe like a forklift or something like that.
One of the things they mentioned is that they should have been able to find the film, but the film has been hidden. So they don't, that's the one thing they're missing.
It's like, it's got to be here.
They're still missing the film, but because of the storm, there's nowhere else for the film to be, kind of, other than somewhere around Ice Station Zebra.
Yep.
And they know that there's a tracker to find the film or the canister that the film would be in, but the tracker they have isn't working. So clearly they must have changed whatever the tracking thing was.
The frequency.
And so what they really need to be looking for is the tracker that was reprogrammed, and then they'll be able to find it. So, but they can't find anything. They can't find it anywhere.
But Jones eventually finds this like tracker in this thing and
a gun,
the
murder weapon.
Yep. And he's going to go like find it. And all of a sudden he starts to walk upstairs, wham, takes a crowbar to the face.
Yeah.
And who is it?
Again, like a Tuesday for us. Crowbar in face is every,
Yeah. If you're in a bowling league, you understand what a crowbar to the face feels like.
Oh, that happens. And so, he gets his crowbar in the face, and, like, who could it be? And, oh, shit, it's Ernest Borgnine.
Yep.
So he's the bad guy. And so he goes down. He's like, he's trying to find the, whatever. But then the Marine comes in and is like, what's going on here? And he's like,
Jim Brown.
Yeah.
He's like, kill me with this crowbar.
Yeah. I'm going to frame you, obviously. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, he's like, hit me with that crowbar, break my arm, break my leg. And like,
this is weird.
What is going on? This is a really odd thing to request.
Yeah.
But it works.
Yeah.
Because Well, they get into a struggle. All of a sudden, Jones wakes up and he sees them fighting, and he already thought it was Jim Brown, so he just shoots him.
Yeah,
like
kills him
1,000 times.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh my God, it really was him.
Yeah, he was the bad guy. Ernest Borgnine's there, like, whatever. And it seems like the captain's maybe starting to get a little suspicious because Ernest Borgnine sees that Jones had found the tracker and seems to be like, oh, weird, there's a tracker over here. And everyone, like both Jones and the captain, seemed to be like, huh, that was weird. Like, it seemed like he was almost eyeing the thing, trying to figure out how to get it. But then when he realized he couldn't, he just went ahead and like revealed it to everyone.
Yes.
So it seemed a little bit strange.
So he left with the tracker, but then the captain, all of a sudden, he starts digging through the fuel tank, and he's like, oh, there's another thing here, which comes into play later.
Yeah, it's a detonator.
Yeah.
Finds detonator.
So during this time, they like go out, they find the thing, it's in the ice, they got to get it out, and all of a sudden, all these Soviet paratroopers start showing up.
Yeah.
And this is when tensions are getting a little high.
Oh, they ratchet up.
Yeah.
I feel like we say that a lot, but tensions are ratcheting up. And so they oh, okay. So we got to wrap it up, and we're pretty good here, except for the fact that this is a somewhat confusing, almost neo-noir ending to this film, because they're trying to get this stuff out and get it out of the ice. Basically, it was frozen in the ice, and they find the tracker and they unveil it. There it is, but it's with a bomb, so it's strapped to a bomb. And they're like, okay, let's get it out of there. And they give it to Ernest Borgnine's character and are like, you got to undo it. Like, basically get it. And so he does a few things and turns off the detonator. Yeah. And he's able to open the thing up and see that there's the film inside.
Right. And at the same time, like, the Russians are confronting the U.S. They're like, hey, you got to give us that.
It's ours.
Under international law, that's our property.
It's our property.
It's ours. And he's like, well, you guys have our film canister. Which you stole from us, so under international law, that's our property. Whoa.
And so they're going back and forth about this. And did you understand exactly what happened here? Because then Jones goes up to Borgnine and throws a canister on the ground. Borgnine then opens the canister; it's empty. He puts the film canister inside of it, and closes it up. Then he puts it back into the bomb, and they say, "Give it to the Russians."
Yeah,
they give it to the Russians,
but he didn't put that in the bomb. He didn't put that thing back inside. He just puts the bomb back together without that inside.
No, because then he opens the thing and checks in. The Russian guy opens it and checks it.
And then it was
empty.
In there.
Yeah,
it was empty.
So why did he send it up and say it was destroyed?
I don't know.
I swear you gotta look back on it. He puts it back in there and stuff like that. What I wonder.
No, he doesn't. Because remember he takes it and then Jones throws it on the ice, or they make Borgnine throw it on the ice or something. So then.
Then they put it back in.
So the Russians put it back in, and then they send it up.
Now,
during this, there's also guns pointed at both sides. Yeah. Everybody's just like, if you shoot, we're going to kill you.
Yeah, one of the Marines kind of tries to go out there and do something, and he gets shot, but he seems like he's maybe survived. But then I guess the question is, like, why did he put it into that other canister? What was that other canister? Why did they throw it out there? Was the idea that the canister...
We're almost done here.
I know. I mean, really, we're talking through what I felt like was a very confusing point, almost like, as I said, a neo-noir film of, like, they're going to reveal some intricate plot they had to somehow, figure it all out. Because the thing is they know that Ernest Borgnine's character is the bad guy.
Yep.
They're like, oh, you've played both sides. We don't care if you die anymore. So on and so on and so on.
Yep. But anyway, the Russians send it up.
Yeah. He does the detonator.
Well, yeah, the American captain is like, I have this cool detonator. I wish he would have waited till the plane was going to grab it and then blew it up.
Well, that might have been an international incident. So
it would have been pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it would have been pretty cool.
But then...
But I wonder if that other thing that they put it in was somehow to protect it from the explosion. So then the idea was that they tricked the Russians into thinking that they've blown it up, when in reality it fell back to Earth and they were going to go find it.
Oh, that would have been good.
See, that's what I don't understand. Like, I don't even understand why did they even put it into another canister?
No, I don't think there was any point to it.
There was, it was a little bizarre.
Some things that went on that didn't make a lot of sense.
I meant to go back and kind of like look online and see an explanation, but I never did. So, fuck it.
Yeah.
Everyone can be confused.
And so once it blows up, the Russian guy walks over to the American guy. He's like, our mission's half completed or partially completed.
Yeah,
yours is partially completed. Your guy got shot. Wink, wink, on accident.
Yeah.
So no need for further conflict. And then you see some like little newspaper article type out, Russia and America work together for a heroic rescue mission.
Yeah. So basically saying like they covered up what could have been an international incident by saying that it was actually a case of international cooperation.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah. At the end.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. No submarine at all in the second half.
I know.
Well, it was there.
was
but
there,
barely.
but-
It's just chilling.
To me, this reminded me. I guess we can wait till we get in the reviews.
Yeah.
I shouldn't-
That's where we are, right?
Yeah.
We're in
Yeah,
the
we're in the
reviews.
reviews. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So Alex, what did you gonna give it?
All right, I actually enjoyed this movie. I thought it was pretty suspenseful. It was, I mean, the Jones guy, the MI6 agent, a little bit of James Bond thing going on, and it was cool how there was a double agent from Russia as well in there. And then I really liked the Marine guy, Jim Brown's character. Like those three guys, I felt like did a really good job in the film. It was definitely suspenseful, trying to figure out what was going on. I know the ending kind of questionable, but we do know that whatever they were all looking for is destroyed. So at the end of the day, doesn't matter. It's just as if nobody found it. But despite all of that, the beginning part of the movie a little long. It's still pretty good though. The sub was pretty cool. Those shots of it diving and underneath water and trying to come up through the ice, like for 1968, I felt that was done really well. I really liked it. So overall, out of 12 inches, I'm going to give it 8.5.
Wow.
Liked it.
You're like a classic film connoisseur. You just appreciate the cinematic experience.
Yeah, I really liked it. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go next. I mean, this one's tough.
It's tough. It's classic.
It's classic, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. Once from that first intermission onwards, I really enjoyed this film, and I enjoyed the scenes of the sub diving.
Mm-hmm.
In the first part. So if they could have just done basically like, oh hey, we have to go rescue this thing. Here's your passengers. Here's your Marines. They get on a boat. They show those nice scenes of diving, and then they kind of like jump straight to trying to bust through that ice. I think I would have been a lot happier with this film. As it was, I almost fell asleep in the first half of this film.
Oh, did you really?
I had a lot of trouble. It was 4:00 in the afternoon, so not like a time when I'm like traditionally particularly tired.
Right.
But I had a lot of trouble keeping my eyes open for that first hour of the film until the torpedo scene happened. After that, I was fine. But
Yeah.
I was really struggling to stay awake for it because it just keeps kind of going and meanders about for a while. So I think I'm going to give it I want to say 6.5, but I'm going to say 7.
Okay, 7. For me, for this movie, I did enjoy it. Like we talked about all the cinematic stuff. I thought the underwater scenes were awesome, especially when they're going through and you see how close they're getting all the different, jagged ice pieces shooting down. To me, this reminded me also of Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, wow.
How it's essentially
Two
different movies.
Yeah.
You got, in that you have the boot camp training, and you have Vietnam. And
Yeah.
this you have the sub ride over, and then you have the ice station part.
Yeah, Act 1, Act 2.
Yeah. The sub part did drag on a little bit.
A little bit.
Ice station part I was really enjoyed. I'll talk about what I wish might have happened after this. But for me,
actually, that's interesting. Yeah, you give your score, and then we'll talk about what you wish happened.
I'm gonna go. I didn't almost fall asleep, but I did watch it right after I woke up. So I'll probably go with a 7.5 on this one.
Okay. Cool.
Good reviews for a classic film. The one thing I was trying to remember is, like, if you think about Run Silent, Run Deep, which one did you like better, Run Silent, Run Deep, or this?
Ooh,
I like this one better personally.
See, I could see that you gave it an 8.5. I was trying to remember what I gave Run Silent, Run Deep. And I hope I gave it more. I think I may have given it the same. Maybe gave it 7 or something.
Because
I do think I liked that one better than this one.
It had better sub action.
Yeah.
This story was pretty awesome. I don't know. I guess I really did like Run Silent, Run Deep.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It's hard. It's hard.
I don't remember
having
what
all
I
our
rated
scores.
it. Yeah, what did I rate it?
Don't worry, I've got all those scores consolidated.
We might have to go back through and rechange some of it because I think
over time,
way.
Run Silent, Run Deep was pretty good, but I like this one better. And if I gave Run Silent, Run Deep a bit higher score, then
you didn't. Then
give I've messed up someplace.
You almost certainly
right.
didn't give it a 9. That'd be crazy.
I'll look it up here.
Yeah.
Oh, but so anyway, what I talked about, what I wish happened.
Yeah.
Last week you were talking about John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this would be perfect for when they get up there to the ice station. If nobody knew what happened, and all of a sudden it was just like
aliens
or
Fucking
something crazy. You could even do an abominable snowman.
Wow. You're blowing my mind.
Don't you think? I mean, it could have been. You even said like you thought, oh, is this going to be maybe a sci-fi?
I thought
movie?
maybe it was going to be a sci-fi. For
it could have worked out.
Ice Chasing Zebra.
You didn't care about the espionage part of it with all the spies and the military and the two sides, like the geopolitical aspect of it. You'd rather see something sci-fi.
I enjoy that kind of stuff.
I did too.
The thing is like it's a neo-noir in a lot of ways, just the way they set everything up. And
Right.
Noir films are notoriously difficult to follow and stuff like that. And there's a lot of ways that they attempt to make a noir film very clever and interesting, just like any mystery book or that you try to make it so that it's hard to figure out beforehand what exactly is happening. And in that way, you almost end up definitely making it very confusing. And I felt like it was the same for this one. And when it's a sci-fi alien, it's pretty simple.
But it would have been awesome if it was espionage and sci-fi aliens.
So it's espionage by a different planet.
Oh my gosh,
Oh.
that would have been great. A shapeshifter. Well, that would have been just like the Thing.
So
Yeah, would have been perfect.
I love that. The Thing is
Yeah.
the best.
Oh.
So wait, what was the score?
Oh, sorry. Across the board, we all gave Run Silent, Run Deep an 8.
Okay, good. I feel good about that. And it's perfect. It lines up perfectly with us. I thought it was slightly better. You thought it was slightly worse than this film. So there we go.
There you go.
I like that. So I was going to say it's interesting that you had hoped a certain thing would happen because I actually, call me the brain, I read the book.
Oh, okay.
Wait, when?
AKA,
When did you read this?
I actually didn't. I listened to it.
Oh.
And an abridged version of it. I got it from the library, abridged version of this book on audiobook, and I listened to it on a couple of runs. And
You did this recently, right?
Yeah, I did it on Friday.
Oh,
Saturday.
okay.
Friday, Saturday.
Jamie
And-
also does very long runs for those of you who
yeah,
don't.
so
A couple runs is not just like a 30-minute excursion for him.
couple runs got me through this 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
A 3-hour book. And then, it was a little bit different because in the end, you know how everyone was dead when they got up to there, all the bad guys had killed each other.
Right.
That wasn't the case in the book. So in the book, those kind of the fact that someone there is working for the Soviets is the whole mystery. The entire idea is who is sabotaging. Now, the only weird thing was that in the book, I couldn't totally follow exactly who sabotaged the torpedo tube as a result because they really were
So
only.
it did happen.
Oh yeah, because the only thing that it was like. There were these two people up at the base that were clearly part of the Soviets, but they never really accounted for who could have possibly messed with the torpedo tube.
Huh.
It's on the sub. So like, they kind of imply that there's someone who was like a sleeper agent or some agent
Yeah.
for the Soviets that they just were like, well, whatever.
We're
It's all
already
fine.
here.
Was Ernest Borgnine's character in the book?
He was not.
Oh, he wasn't.
No, neither was Jim Brown's.
Oh, okay. Yes. They still had the accident, though, in the torpedo room in the book?
Yeah. So
Whoa.
in the book, it was still in the torpedo room, and it would have been someone who was already on the sub who happened to also be an agent for Russia, and they were called into action for that to slow them down.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. It's a little harder to do. Yeah. So it was weird in one way. It was nice to see all that action up in the Ice Station Zebra, but also hard to explain who would have messed with the torpedo.
Unless
Anyways.
they could have been like it was a freak accident.
Yeah, it was a fine adaptation. It's interesting that on Wikipedia they say it's loosely adapted. I thought it was pretty heavily adapted. It's like it's pretty close until the end. Kind of the end is very different.
All right, well, let's get moving right along.
Mhm.
Jamie, you got some trivia for us on this movie?
I mean, of course. Let me get it up. So this was released obviously in the era before VCRs. So a lot of people watched their movies on TV when they were at air. Howard
Oh.
Hughes, the reclusive billionaire, he owned a Las Vegas TV station, and they would know when he was in town when Ice Station Zebra would play on that station all night long, one viewing after another. So he would
Really?
basically run it, and he was obsessive compulsive, very like seriously so, almost sickly so. Like he could just stay in a room, urinate in bottles, eat I forget what he ate, something in particular, and stay up all night, and he would watch Ice Station Zebra
That sounds insane.
over and over and over again. Yep. So that's one of the main reasons I think.
All right.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so then, as we had mentioned, unique and innovative underwater camera equipment was developed for the film by John M. Stevens. He was a former USA Navy diver. And so he was billed for just additional photography in this, but it was such an achievement that they made a promo documentary about him called The Man Who Makes the Difference, which is available on the DVD for the film. But yeah, it basically made it the first ever filming of a continuous submarine dive.
It's awesome.
So his technology they developed.
What an icebreaker
for
the film industry. I hope people like puns.
They do not. Submarine used in this film was the USS Ronquil. A whole number was repainted to 509. And so, but it was not a nuclear submarine. So they used a model for the outside view of it because it was shaped very differently. But for the dives and all that stuff, it was the Ronquil.
Okay.
I like to say when things are reused, some miniature footage from this film were reused in Assault on the Wayne. Footage from the film with the Tigerfish submarine model was reused for Firefox, a 1982 film, Grey Lady Down, a 1978 film, and Never Say Never Again, the 1983 film that we talk about every once in a while. James Bond film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what we're talking about right now.
In 2011, Warner Bros. Announced a remake of the film, but nothing has come of it yet. So hopefully it
I think
going
this
and
could
gets
be a
released.
really good remake.
It could be, yeah.
I think they could make it pretty interesting for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Especially with global warming, get it real relevant up there.
Oh yeah. They'd be like, well, we don't have the
Got
don't
on
have the
board.
scenes of us like
trying to bust
through.
those
You're just
ice.
like, that's a 1/4 inch thick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just open water.
We're here.
Let's see. Principal photography was actually slated for 1965. The U.S. Department of Defense objected to the first script, which they seem to do often, and so they changed the schedule, and that conflicted with almost everyone in the film, and so they had to completely overhaul the cast. So no one that was originally cast in this actually ended up appearing in it.
Dang.
And just to get into that, so Charlton Heston originally was offered the role but turned it down. Then Gregory Peck, David Niven, Edmund O'Brien, and George Siegel were attached to be in the film to the point where there was even advertisements in Variety with them as the cast of the
No
thing.
way.
But it never ended up appearing in it because they had to completely recast the film once it was scheduled for 1967 instead of 1965.
And this is a pretty famous sub film.
Yes,
You would think
so,
you'd want to
for sure.
be in it.
Yeah, and
But I mean, I guess if your schedule doesn't allow.
yeah, and it totally put a fire back under Rock Hudson's career. Like he had been listed as like the most overpaid actor for several years in a row before this, but it was a wild success and ended up getting it so that he had a career revival as a result. And then Jim Brown his role was kind of written for the movie, and he was a football player, as we know. So that gets me to my recaster. We're talking about football players turned actors who would have done a good job in this. So what about Carl Weathers? Carl Weathers played for the Oakland Raiders.
Carl Weathers.
Yes.
Hands
Carl
down.
Weathers acting school.
Yeah.
Ready to do it?
Yeah. He's awesome. I mean, gosh, you got him in Predator, but I mean, Jim Brown also did a great job. So
It's tough to say, right?
I'd stick with, I think, Jim Brown.
I'd stick with Jim Brown too, but Carl, he'd still be okay in it, I think.
What about comedic mastermind Terry Bradshaw, former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback?
No.
No. I can't imagine Terry Bradshaw like commanding the Marines.
All right. What about Howie Long?
No. Not
at all.
No,
Not even close.
Did you ever see his action film where he starts at as a firefighter?
I have not seen that.
Oh, it's amazing. Check it out. What about O.J. Simpson? Again, concurrent with his murder allegations.
So this was released in the 90s. I mean, he could strike fear into your heart.
Yeah,
that's true. You probably would have been watching and been like, you know what? I think he is the bad guy. And then when he gets shot in the middle of it by the other guy, you're like, you know what? I still think he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
I don't care what I saw. What about the Boz? Brian Bosworth. You know who that is?
No, I'm not sure.
He was
I'm gonna look him up right now.
He was a football player for the Seattle Seahawks. Actually, more famous as a college football player, but he had a very, very short-lived action career, starring in a movie called Stone Cold.
Oh man, I just
where he
looked him
played
up.
a undercover cop in, I think it was Mississippi.
Dude, I'm looking at this photo of him.
Yeah,
Like he's got this mullet and a bandana on.
for sure.
Maybe him.
Yes.
Okay, if he's not in this, he's definitely an Agent Red. We could definitely find him.
Oh,
Come on.
movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Look at that.
That is amazing.
Alex, I'm about to send you a photo. You're gonna be like,
Oh, I've got
Oh, okay,
a lot of them
good.
pulled up
All
right
right.
now.
And then I'm going to finish up with one more, which is one of the greatest NFL football players of our lifetime, probably. Ed Harris. What are we thinking?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd take Ed Harris.
Ed Harris for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do it.
Oh man! Before you go on to your next thing, I was also looking at some trivia on here, and I found this very interesting. They said the movie's plot has similarities with a real-life 1962 CIA project called Cold Feet. Did you look this up?
Yeah, I did. I saw this.
And so, whatever, they had these like people parachute in to this ice station, and then they retrieved them with the Fulton surface-to-air recovery system 3 days later. And so I kind of got on this like kick. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, let me look at this Fulton recovery air system. Have you ever watched stuff on this, Alex?
I've never watched stuff on it, but isn't it used in another famous movie?
It's used in a bunch of movies. Like other movies might call it like Skyhook or something.
Yeah.
Right,
Was it like
it's in The Dark Knight?
I was gonna say Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Dark Knight's the one I'm thinking. Yeah.
So anyway, like essentially, you send up this blimp-looking balloon, and a plane flies by with a giant V shape on the front, and it'll snag this tether that's hooked to the balloon, and it'll just lift whatever's on the ground off the ground, then you can reel it into the plane. That's amazing.
It's pretty crazy.
And then the thing that I thought was actually really funny is this was an advancement over the system that they had before. So I couldn't find the name of the first system, but before, they essentially, whatever you wanted to pick up on the ground, you put up like two big poles with a string, and then the plane would drag a grappling hook and it would snag it. And I'm like, how dangerous would that be for people retrieval? Because like, all you gotta do is
hit with the hook.
Hook a couple people, and you're like, all right, we're done with that. Like, no, thank you. But apparently, they said like getting lifted by it is not bad. It's like less kick than when somebody opens a parachute.
Really? So like you're going like standing still on the ground. And the next thing you know, you're going 200 miles an hour, and it's not that bad.
That's what they said, man.
Oh man.
I mean, we got to try it before,
Yeah, I guess,
we can really know.
Yeah, true. All right.
People go skydiving. I wonder if you can get sky hooked.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
And then you skydive. That'd be pretty cool.
All right, so are we ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's take this to the Phantom Zone.
Engage the Phantom.
Phantom's engaged, sir.
All right, so I've actually used most of what I'm talking about in a different one.
Doesn't matter.
Because it was Run Silent, Run Deep, has a close connection to this. So Ernest Borgnine is in this, and Torpedo Run. Torpedo Run features LQ Jones. LQ Jones is in Torpedo Run and Battle of the Coral Sea. Battle of the Coral Sea also features Taro Shimada. Now, you may recognize that name.
It sounds very familiar.
He was the Japanese submarine commander in Run Silent, Run Deep. But I used him.
Bungo Pete?
Yeah. Oh, no, he was a submarine captain. Bungo Pete was up on the destroyer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he was also in the James Bond film You Only Live Twice. He was the Spectre bad guy, Spectre agent or whatever. Ooh. And so from there we can follow the previous path. So obviously Connery's in that one. He's in Hunt for Red October. We have a connection from Hunt Red October to In Enemy Hands. We have a connection from In Enemy Hands to U-571. We have a connection from that to Navy SEALs. And Michael Biehn is in Navy SEALs, which he's also in The Abyss, which you just watched. Then we could take that either like 12 movie cycle around to make it to Phantom, or we could just jump to Phantom with Ed Harris. Why not? And let's take it to the Phantom Zone.
Amazing.
There's really no movie that fails this. I will always find a connection. I will always find a fucking connection. You don't even care. I know you. The stingers out there. I got you, Stinger. Don't you fucking worry about it.
Have you already looked that one up?
No, I have not. I'm just so confident at this point, confident and cocky. I will say right now, I will get you, Stinger. I don't care. I will figure it out. I will make a movie if it's required to get you back to Phantom.
If the listeners could see the look in Jamie's eyes right now, you would know this is the most serious he's ever been in his life.
You might describe it as homicidal.
So as soon as we're done, I'm going to make Jamie leave, protect myself and my family, and yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I also want to just note the restraint I had while recapping this film on barely mentioning dicks.
I know, it was only once.
You're welcome.
It's very passive-aggressive. You're welcome.
You're welcome. I just feel like I don't want to alienate our early listeners.
Yeah. Brown was like, look,
Or
if-
do I?
Yeah. It's like, if they've, those people who have already dropped off by this point.
Yeah,
if they didn't wanna
probably.
hear it-
If they got through 11 episodes of me just constantly talking about it, you'd think almost they'd be disappointed by this one.
like, darn it, just for
Ah.
once.
It's subs world wide.
Oh, I'm actually excited for this one.
This one?
I've come all the way around after having listening to our episodes now that they're released. I'm now like, you know what? I appreciate that Worldwide is the only section that we are seriously talking about subs in some way.
Look how long my notes are on this
I
one.
know. For a submarine podcast, we actually never talk about the legitimacy of anything
Yeah.
that's going on.
So
and
here's-
we actually don't know anything about it. So this is important for us to learn.
So here's to you, sub people. This is the Ballo class submarine.
You think it's Blau?
Yeah, it might
I
be,
feel like it's
whatever.
Blau.
This is the boat that was used in the film. The USS Ronquil is one of these. It is not a nuclear class submarine like Jamie said earlier. It's a diesel electric. And these are World War II era submarines. There were 120 of these things completed, making it the largest class of submarines in the U.S. Navy. Think about it. That's a lot of boats.
Yeah.
They're built between 42 and 46, and they were in commission with the U.S. from 1943 to 1975. Now, there is even still one in commission today
Wow.
because a lot of these were sold off. So Taiwan has one of these in their Navy.
Yeah, I think even the one that was in this, the Ronquil, ended up
Mhm.
being part of the Spanish Navy, right?
It did. That's actually, it's in this later. So again, it's a diesel electric sub, 311 feet, 6 inches long.
You can't forget those 6 inches.
No, you can't. Has 4 diesel engines, 4 high-speed electric motors, 226-cell batteries, holds 70 enlisted men and 10 officers. The thing I love about these U.S. subs is there's actually all sorts of information on them, unlike most of the other ones I'm trying to
Chinese
look
sub
up.
or something like that.
Yeah. So for speed, these things can travel while they're surfaced at 20.25 knots. Submerged 8.75, but then there were some like other reports saying that while it's submerged, it can also go 14.1, but that's only for a half hour because it's on the batteries. 8 knots while snorkeling and 3 knots cruising. So for an endurance, while it's crawling along, it can go 48 hours, and it can last for 75 days on patrol. Test depth. Now, this is important for this movie. So test depth for this is 400 feet.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not that deep.
Not that
Not
1200.
even close to that 1200.
No.
Yeah.
And so there is another sub. It's actually a really famous one. The USS Tang did a test depth of 612 feet.
That's named after the drink Tang?
Yes,
Not a sponsor.
should be. Before they sent it up with the astronauts,
Yeah.
they named a sub after it. But this actually was reminiscent of the movie. It went down even further than this. I couldn't find out how far, but the forward torpedo room flooded.
Oh.
And it went down. This boat actually was eventually destroyed by its own torpedo.
What?
Yeah, it shot and the torpedo took a circular path, came back and hit the sub. They tried to get out of the way, but they couldn't.
When it was sinking?
No, not when it was sinking. Just like it was on another mission,
Oh, okay.
which is crazy because this sub also sunk 24 ships.
Whoa.
And so then they have a problem like that. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, they mentioned it runs silent, run deep. That's what they thought had happened in that first, when it was reality a submarine and shot a torpedo. Remember, they thought they had shot a torpedo at the destroyer and
and
then
it
turned
circled
around on
back.
them.
Yeah.
No, it's also something important when we get our submarine yacht with the torpedoes retrofitted.
Yes.
We just need to remember that.
Yeah.
We only
Make sure we have a clear target.
for sure, and we don't want it circling back on us. We have to have some plans for that too.
Well, guess what? You could have plans for
What's
that
that? Why?
because this was the only time that the thing called the Momsen lung
Ooh.
was ever used to escape a sub. And so this is kind of weird. It's like a little breathing apparatus you put on your face, and it has what they call a counter lung, which I'm assuming is some kind of like plastic bag or something, that has soda lime in it, which scrubs the CO2 off, so you're able to like get your oxygen back.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and ascend. So anyway, off the Tang, onto the USS Ronquil, the one they used for this movie. This was used to film in 1967 for the film. It was decommissioned from the U.S. in 71 and sold to Spain, and it was in the Spanish Navy from 71 to 84. And so
I mean,
I got a lot of facts
we're
on
going
it.
into depth. I mean, we
Yeah,
may,
we got
we
a
may
lot
wanna,
of got a lot of facts on
we
this.
want to pull back.
Yeah.
Maybe
No, we can't. We can't.
No.
So the weapons for this thing are really impressive. It's got 6 forward torpedo tubes, 4 aft. It can hold 24 torpedoes. It has
not that many once you take into account that one of them is going to be open to the sea.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, so 5.
Yeah. Okay. Just keep in
5
mind.
forward. And on deck, this is where this thing is really cool. It's got all sorts of anti-aircraft guns. So it has a 5-inch 25 caliber gun. This is a heavy anti-aircraft gun. It weighs 2 metric tons.
5-inch 25
That's what it's called.
caliber gun.
Yeah.
That's what I call my gun. Hey, right? Am I right? I guess.
And so to fire its projectile, it uses 9.5 pounds of smokeless powder, and it fires a 54-pound projectile. It's 2,100 feet per second.
Alrighty.
And then it also has a Bofur's gun, which is like a anti-aircraft multi-purpose
It's not
gun.
a Bofur's gun. That's a Bofur's gun.
Bofur's, whatever it is. It's extremely popular. It was used by both
So
the
popular.
Axis and the Allies in World War II.
It's Mr. Popular over there, that gun.
Yeah. It was even used up until the Gulf War. I think there's actually still like developing places using it.
So that may be another movie we can think about producing. It's called Bofur Gun, and it's a Gulf War movie. What do we think?
Gulf War sub movie.
Yeah, starring Ed Harris and other people probably.
Well, Fichtner for sure.
Oh, Fichtner for sure.
Uh,
Maybe David Duchovny. We'll just call it Phantom.
I like it. Phantom 2. And anyway, all right. Then the last one is the Oerlikon 20mm cannon. It's an auto cannon, which is kind of like a machine gun, but it fires 20mm shells or bigger. So that does a lot of damage. You can do tours of these submarines.
Wait. So when you say an autocannon, that
Yeah.
means what? Like it's a machine gun?
But it's not technically called a machine gun. It's
Yeah.
an auto cannon because it fires much bigger rounds.
That's amazing.
I know. It's pretty crazy.
I'm actually like having to hold back my excitement of that because I feel like that's just that possibility for having on our submarine.
An auto cannon.
Yeah,
I know. It just sounds awesome too.
it sounds really awesome.
Engage the auto cannon.
Yeah, and we wouldn't kill whales or something, but maybe if a whale is getting attacked by a big like giant squid or something, we could take it out with an autocannon.
It's true.
I'm thinking about it right now. It's real cool. Okay.
So anyways, if you live in the States and you want to take a tour of these, there are 8 cities.
Oh my God.
where you can take a tour. Go to Muskogee, Oklahoma.
And we're pretty cless to that. No,
Yeah.
we're not though.
I looked it up. It'd
Wait,
be a
where in
long
Oklahoma,
weekend.
Is it just sitting on land?
It's got to be.
Wow.
Or maybe there's a river or something.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, Honolulu, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, Hackensack, New Jersey.
Hey, Fall River.
Yeah.
I know Fall River.
Fall River, Massachusetts, San Francisco, or Little Rock. You can go there and see them.
Is there any place you're heading that you can see it? I'm not heading any of these places particularly soon, but
Well, if I were going, I would be going just for this.
that's true. So you plan Little Rock? Guys trip?
Great. Actually, that one, Oklahoma's the closest one. I looked it up already.
Mustard Man will pick you up on the way.
All right.
No, you got to meet us. that's way out of the way.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess Little Rocket's still out of the way.
Yeah, that'd be
Where's
that'd
it
be a
at?
big loop.
Yeah. You
Oklahoma or Arkansas.
yeah, so you can meet us maybe in St. Louis or something. We'll pick you up. But
Yeah,
even
we'll
that's
grab you.
probably a little out of the way.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's fine.
goodness.
Yeah,
Pretty sure it's further away from me than you guys.
Yeah,
probably about the same. I
who
don't know.
knows?
Yeah.
All right, that's Subs Worldwide. Alex, you got any news this week?
Sure do.
Loving it.
So, all right. I think way back when we first started this podcast, we were talking about that journalist from Sweden who died.
For sure.
She
Wait, no.
was,
Oh, yeah, journalist. Right. Yeah, the
yeah,
journalist
she was
killed,
like kidnapped, and then the guy tried arguing, yeah, she died. It was on accident or whatever. Anyways, so just a little follow up with that. I saw this article the other day, and I guess there's a trial going on right now, and evidence is coming out that she was still alive for a while she was at the submarine, because she was sending text messages and pictures to her boyfriend before she went away. One of the text messages, they're kind of interesting, but the first ones that I'm seeing here says, "I'm still alive, BTW." So I'm wondering if she was worried about it at first
Whoa.
going into it. The second
That's
one
really
says, "But I'm going down now." So I don't know what that means exactly. The next one says, "I love you." And then the last text message says, he brought coffee and cookies, though. So, it sounds
it sounds like maybe that was the very beginning of a trip.
Yeah. So, I don't, obviously there's more stuff to come out, but those are some pretty interesting.
It also does sound like maybe she had some creepy feelings about the guy.
Yeah,
before
absolutely.
going on the trip or whatever. So
think about it.
Kind of joking around a little bit. Yeah.
If we contacted somebody like, hey, we built a submarine, would you like to take a tour with me?
First of all, the answer should immediately be no, because my brother actually asked me this. Like, if Kyle said he had bought a submarine and was like, let's take it out, would you ever go on? I was like, no, I would never go on that submarine.
I would.
No fucking way.
I would be living on it.
Yeah, you could live on all you want. I'm not going down on that submarine.
Oh, come on.
Nope.
It'd be good times.
No.
Yeah, there's actually a picture of the submarine here. They got it dry docked and hanging by a crane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty good looking sub. I mean,
Wow. He built it himself, right, or something?
Yeah.
How's the crane look?
No, you're more. Are we previewing season 4 of this podcast? Crane movies?
Well, we've been talking about cranes for a long time, Jamie.
Wow.
I just don't think.
I haven't clued you in on.
Are there crane movies?
I don't know if there are crane movies.
There's definitely cranes that collapse in movies. I feel like
The Abyss.
Oh yeah.
I
think
good crane movie.
I think Deepwater Horizon. Isn't there a crane that collapses in that?
Probably.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh my god. I feel like we could
right.
maybe do this. It'd be a shorter season, thank God. This one's gonna go on way too long.
All right.
Love it.
So the next article I have involves a person on the submarine. You guys might have seen this one in the news already, but Trump pardoned his second person since he's been in office. And it was a sailor who had taken some photographs of the nuclear reactor on his submarine on his cell phone. Looking at it, looks like he was just taking photographs to take photographs to have them on his cell phone. He wasn't selling secrets, wasn't trading them to any other countries. He just happened to have them on him.
Yeah, his explanation was that he wanted to show his parents what he did. And so he took a photo of him with the nuclear reactor.
A selfie type thing?
I think it must have been, yeah.
Yeah,
like no one else would have taken the picture for him.
Right. Like,
nobody who's doing espionage is like, oh, let me get a selfie with it.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, they convicted him.
Yeah. He was looking at significant jail time, right?
Yeah, he was, absolutely. I think he was already in jail for a little while because he was 22 when the photographs happened. He's now 39.
Right, but he was just
Seriously?
convicted. No. Wasn't he just convicted though?
Yeah, no, I think he was convicted. Anyways, Trump pardoned him, and the funny thing I've read about it though is that he actually tried taking to defense the Hillary Clinton defense, where she was actually
that's right. Yeah.
sending emails and stuff on private servers to other people that should not have been involved, and they got away with it, saying it was just very careless. So he tried asking for that kind of leniency, and they want to give it to him, even though there was zero evidence that he sent this to anyone else at all.
You just had it. Huh.
Yeah. So if you start taking photographs on a submarine, you're looking at jail time. So be careful out there, guys.
I mean, it's true. I mean, basically, he was told not to do it. It'd be like if you worked at a hospital and you took a picture of a patient or something like that. That is against the rules of the hospital, and you can be fired. You're not going to go to jail for that case. But then you could turn around and be like, yeah, I was just trying to do something. And sometimes they'll have leniency and be like, well, you were just being dumb. Don't do it again. If you do it again, you're definitely fired. But they give you leniency that first time. I feel like this is kind of that. It's like you signed up this really high secrecy, top secret job. You can't go. It's dumb. You're obviously going to get fired and have potential jail time. You were told that from the beginning. And they just, Trump pardoned him because he probably wasn't trying to do anything. He was just a person who made a mistake. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I know when I was 22, I didn't make any mistakes. So.
No, we were perfect by that time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was fully, aware of
my frontal lobe was perfectly developed. It's no big deal.
All right.
Brom is not here.
He's not here. We have no Zach facts.
No. Brom was going to do top rank zebra films, which I felt like would have been a very good thing. My first thought was Racing Stripes. Obviously. I was wondering if there was a zebra in I Bought a Zoo starring Matt Damon, just because I find that movie hilarious for a variety of reasons.
I don't know if there was or not.
I don't know. But then in Zach Facts, I don't know, he probably would have said that they actually filmed up in the North Pole, or I don't know, they actually fell in that crevasse was not in the script. They just fell in a hole and kept on filming. Zach Facts.
Just lower a camera down, film it. What are they doing down there?
Yeah. That
Like, we don't have a rescue crew
It
out here.
probably would have
Somebody
been.
get in
It
there.
probably would have been the torpedo. Was not in the script. The torpedo being
Oh,
open to the
torpedo
ocean.
Jim Brown was literally ready to kill everyone there.
And Jim Brown spent or retired from the NFL to spend more time on submarines. And this is part of that. Zach facts. Sorry, Zach.
These are pretty decent, though.
Yeah.
Goodness. And we won't leave you just yet.
Nope.
We do have a letter from listeners like you.
Oh.
And now it's time for a letter from listeners like you.
All right. So this is from some fellow podcasters over at can't even talk. Zero
can't.
Supervision.
Zero supervision.
Zero Supervision. They do a news program, talk about all the wacky things going on in the news.
Ooh.
So I always enjoy questions like this. So if you guys were stuck on an island because your sub crashed.
Well, okay. First of all, got to jump in here. Our sub would not crash. We're expert submariners.
I know.
So
But
just want to make
totally
sure, make it clear.
hypothetical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it was captained by someone else. Let's just say that we're just
could
on
be.
a sub for a little joyride with someone
Yeah.
else.
getting like R&R or something, and we
Right.
let Brom handle it. and
Right.
He's just
That's
like,
fine.
oh,
We have again, our frontal lobes are fully developed. We don't make mistakes like this.
true.
Okay.
What sub would you bring to eat for the rest of your life?
Ooh.
That's a good
What
one. Okay.
sub movie would you bring to watch?
Oh.
And what sub would you have crashed with?
Okay. Oh, what type of sub is he saying?
Yes.
Okay. Who wants to go first? I mean, sub. I think I'll just jump in first with what sub would I bring to eat, because I think I was pretty clear on the first episode. Phantom, which is of just as high quality of this episode. I'm joking. It's pretty ridiculous to go back and listen to it. But I said on there that I very much enjoyed a chicken parm sub with lettuce and mustard, and I continue to contend that that is my sub of choice. You may be surprised. Mustard, lettuce, chicken parm. They go together like dicks and submarines. Ew.
Craziness.
Yeah.
You sure you're not the mustard man?
I am not the mustard man. I really enjoy that nickname, and I was upset that Alex was not first embracing it, but now I am happy that he clearly has embraced it.
Alex even has a jersey that says mustard man.
Yeah,
Good.
I've got a mug that says mustard man. I've
So
got
I don't understand, why didn't you want to be the mustard man for this
a
podcast?
cow that says mustard man.
He has no power over me when I record that intro. So
Okay.
I was.
Change it. All right.
Alex, how about you? What sub would you bring?
Oh, buffalo chicken, hands down.
Wow,
Yep.
dude, I love it. Just immediately on top of it.
Oh yeah, I've
Buffalo
been
chicken
eating
is
that.
good. No, do you
I've
just
been
have
eating that
anything
for
else on
years.
it? Because I know, like, the...
Lettuce, pickles,
Okay.
tomatoes. No tomatoes. Onions, banana peppers, black olives, some
Okay.
ranch, oil, and salt and pepper.
Okay. I was just making sure it wasn't one of those crazy subs that you see in, like, college towns and stuff like that, where they have, like, mozzarella sticks and, like, French fries on it or
Oh.
something like that.
Man, no, that.
He's like, well, maybe now.
Yeah, I better rethink that. I've never had one of those, but I'm open
Okay.
to try it.
It's tough to... Yeah.
Try anything once.
What episode should that be, where we just try sub sandwiches?
Oh, that could be our last episode, which would
That'd
be
be-
like our
No.
trivia episode.
What is your sub?
So when I first said this, I was an idiot, and I first said a flatbread.
Ridiculous.
Right.
Should have been kicked off the
Should've.
podcast.
I went and cried for weeks after that.
I cried as well for you.
Thank you. I initially said, I really like a spicy tuna sub, but if I'm going to eat one for the rest of my life,
Yeah, can't do that tuna.
it's going to
Spicy tuna's
be,
fun. You'd be driving us crazy with that spicy tuna.
yeah, and be like, Kyle, please stop eating that. I'm like, I can't. Like, it's just so good.
It's what I chose.
Yeah. I would probably do not a sponsor, Jimmy John's
Oh,
Italian nightclub with hot peppers.
delivered
Okay.
by John Buda every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
What's the
right.
second one?
All right. What
Oh.
sub movie would you bring to watch?
For me, it's easy because we haven't watched some of the really big ones yet. I mean, for all I know, my answer to this would be like Hunt for Red October or Das Boot. I mean, I do think you could maybe bring Das Boot to a desert island, and by the time you finish watching it, you'd be rescued, so you wouldn't have to worry about anything. So
There's
anyway.
potential.
Ew. But I think it's obvious for me. Crimson Tide is the one that day in, day out, I think I could probably find something to enjoy in that movie every time I watch it. I think it's been my favorite, most fun submarine movie that we've done so far.
It's been good.
Yeah.
Alex, how about you?
Hunt for Red October, even though we haven't reviewed it yet. I love that movie. So
Ooh.
that's a good submarine movie.
Yeah,
it's my favorite. It's my favorite submarine movie.
So Kyle, I think I can answer for you. The answer is gonna be Agent Red.
I was thinking that. Just to watch it for like hilarity. It all depends.
You would get pretty tired of it.
If we are all on the island together and like maybe we can switch out.
Right.
Also, maybe watch Red Das Boot today. I'm like, I got Agent Red, and like, Kyle, we only watch that like once a week.
Yeah.
You have to be Phantom.
Oh, that's pretty
Okay.
good. I like that one.
I bring it on Blu-ray, so I got director commentary.
Yeah.
Which I now have. So when we do our remake episode,
That's great.
I'm watching that with director commentary.
I would listen to that director commentary as a podcast.
Oh, for
Send it to me.
sure. And what sub would you have crashed with?
And just to quickly mention with Phantom is that I was making a little intro music for my thing out of the Phantom audio, and I was watching pieces of Phantom again, and we have seriously overrated that film. But continue. It is not very good. Okay, so what was the last one? Oh, what
sub would you have crashed with?
All right. I feel like it's obvious. I would love to say I'm piloting that French submarine.
Oh, the Triomphant,
but let's be serious. I'm not, because it's French. Get out of here.
You can't even read the labels.
Nope, it's a Seawolf. That is what I'm crashing
Oh, that's
on.
the same one I was gonna pick.
It's just obvious. A
It's
Seawolf
the
is how you.
coolest one.
Now, the only thing I don't love about crashing on the island with a Seawolf is that you're crashing a Seawolf, and they're beautiful creatures that
There's
deserve
only
to
3
be
of them in
free.
existence.
Yeah, you gotta. I'd rather the idea be that we made some mistake and got ejected out of the torpedo tubes by accident, and it gets to roam free as its Seawolf in its Seawolf beauty for the rest of its life, and we get ejected onto the desert island. But
It's autonomous.
I mean, it probably
It becomes
it's technological wonder.
becomes self-aware.
Yeah,
It takes over.
isn't it? Already? How else are we piloting it? We don't have the know-how. We
No.
are seriously underqualified.
It's like an app on your phone. You can just run a Seawolf, right?
Probably.
Alex, how about you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say the Nautilus. I think
Oh.
if that
Now,
was
are you
real.
saying the USS Nautilus, which is an
No,
actual
no, no, no,
Palau
no.
class submarine, or
no. The one from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I like that one. It's a pretty cool one.
it is comfy,
Yeah.
and you got a wood
I believe
burning
it.
fireplace.
And an organ.
And an organ.
Jam out on the
and
organ.
Nice couches in front of those windows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I guess that is a pretty good one. If you're crashed on an island, because I like to think the sub, well, is it destroyed? Is it not? I don't know.
If you could live inside of it while it's just beached or whatever, that'd be pretty nice. To
Nautilus would be the one.
Nautilus would be the one for sure. And then I guess we'd probably have to take a tour of the Triomphant and the Seawolf just to get our bearings. But I'm guessing the Seawolf is better. The U.S. subs are like notorious for being cushy on their sailors.
Right.
So
That's it, man.
probably enough food for a 90-day patrol or something like that.
That'd be good.
Survive for a while. Nautilus. The problem with the Nautilus is that they get all their food from their underwater farm.
Right.
Got to keep it in mind. And what are they eating? Like sperm whale milk and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter because once I'm crashed, though, I got that buffalo chicken for life.
That's true. You got
Oh,
those
yeah.
buffalo chicken subs. I totally
So,
forgot. I guess I
good.
assumed that the Seawolf kitchen was just stocked with our subs. 90 days worth
matter.
of subs.
You want it, boom. It's like growing on a palm tree. Like, thank you, God, for this buffalo chicken. I'd be over there partying. It's the Italian nightclub.
Alrighty. Guys, that was Ice Station Zebra. I think next time we should choose one that is not 2.5 hours long, which has been like the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, we've done some really long ones. We'll probably get a little shorter one.
I got an idea for it.
Are we still recording right now?
No.
Thanks for listening to Submersion. Find us on SoundCloud and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.